Heyo everybody, Haku here with my review of The Walking Dead Comics issue 154. Now, for this one, I'm going to say that it is likely my favorite that I have reviewed on the channel. It was great. I really like this one. I think it was a huge step up from the story we've been having. We've been building a bit, and our building has been great, but it was really cool to see more than just building, but happening, you know? It was cool to see things happening here, and it seems from the coming few covers, maybe, that things are about to get even more hectic, even more interesting. So I like where we're going with this. I really do. There's a lot to talk about in this, so I guess we're gonna break it down part by part after I say that one of the new characters we're introduced to here, Beta could be well on his way to becoming one of my favorites in the far future, depending on what he does from here on, because that dude is a beast. I am a Beta fanboy already. This dude's awesome. I really, really like him. So beginning to break it down part by part, starting off with the cover, of course, I really like it. I really like the choice of color scheme they went with the oranges, even though not like literal the fruit oranges, but like the shades of orange and stuff that they used, even though it was nighttime. And then the colors on the way that the colors worked on Aaron and Michonne went really well with the orange. It just I really think it looked nice. I enjoyed the color scheme of it, and it's one of the best ones that I think we've had in a few. I really do like the one from, I think it was 152 with Dwight, but this was a really great one. I really like this one. Now, starting off, we have Andrea meeting Maggie on the Maggie's way back to the hilltop, and their conversation was great. It felt very real. And I think that was something that was very good. I hate saying necessary and calling things necessary, but it was something that it most certainly helped to have there. One thing that this conversation brings up to me, though, is how does the timeline on this work? Because they meet somewhere, and they know it's another day's journey back to the hilltop. They've been already journeying. I didn't think that they were so far away that even with that amount of people, it would take more than a day to get from Alexandria to the hilltop on their roads. So that to me was a bit weird. And in the timeline, it also seems like in this same issue, we get Andrea getting back to Alexandria, and we get Maggie getting back to the hilltop, yet it shouldn't have been that long if Michonne and Aaron were like right behind Negan. I don't know. It seems the timeline in this seems a bit weird. So yeah, That's a bit of a weird thing to bring up. I don't think it's really a plot hole or anything like that, but the timeline right now was seeming a little bit sketchy. So Aaron and Michonne come across Brandon's body, and they say that, you know, he isn't turned yet, so Negan can't be far. We'll just leave him and come back for him later. So since they made a deal, a point to say that, I think it might be safe to say that we could potentially have Brandon as a walker sometime in the future. I don't think that's completely out of the realm of possibility. One thing that I personally want to bring up, though, is I really felt like Michonne and Aaron totally underestimated entering the Whisperer's territory. Because Negan is dangerous. He is. But at the end of the day, Negan is one man. We don't know. I think Rick said he thinks there could be up to like 100 or 200 Whisperers by seeing their camp. And they have an army of walkers. So it's like Negan is dangerous, but he's one man. Are you gonna really chance pissing off the Whisperers to take him down when if you piss off the Whispers, you will have an army coming at you, an army that you probably cannot handle on your turf. Like, I feel like the only way that we can handle the Whispers is by going on the offensive, because going on the defensive, there's too many walkers, and there's too many of them hiding among the walkers that we can't pick out, that they can just jump out and pick us off while we think we're dealing with walkers. So they have the upper hand on our communities, our little group of communities here. So it's just, to me, it seemed like they really shouldn't have entered even if they were going after Negan, once they hit the border, they should have said, okay, we need to call this off. He's gone. He's going to go and do whatever, but he is gone. It is not worth risking pissing off the Whisperers. It just isn't. So the fact that they went into the Whisperer territory, to me, was kind of a dumb move. And it's a move that I almost feel like they should sort of know better, you know? So Negan in this ruined area is completely awesome. The artwork and the way everything looks, the way it's all destroyed and decayed and the plants are growing back over everything, looks amazing. That was just great. And then the Whisperers show up. And the entire encounter, the back and forth, the interactions between Negan and the Whisperers were just genius. It was so brilliant, especially his interactions with Beta were great too. And then of course Beta himself looks like such a beast. And I really like that during this we get to see how intelligent Negan is. He immediately notices what they're doing, why they're doing it. He even brings up, okay, you might have problems with stabbing each other every once in a while because you might think you're walkers. Do you just play it off? And he makes a joke about it. But the fact that he was already able to think of things that could be a problem with what they're doing, it really shows how smart and quick on his feet he is. And it shows how charismatic and confident he is as well, to be able to negotiate with them and to sort of hold his ground mentally with them, I guess is the best way to put it. So basically, Negan quickly assesses his situation, and that there are around 10 Whisperers mixed in with the Walkers, that only about 2 could fight, but he couldn't take all of them in a fight. Even if they aren't that great of fighters, there's no way he could take all of them, especially not Beta, because Beta is a freaking beast. So Negan decides, you know what, take me with you. I feel like joining. Heading back to Alexandria, I think that Eugene was way too honest telling his story to the person on the radio. Way too honest. And the person on the radio says their name is Stephanie. The name means nothing to me. I could find no other person mentioned named Stephanie except a dead person from one of the games, the DLC, the 400 Days DLC from the games. So I do not believe it's anyone we've met before. And if it's somebody we've met or heard about, we just don't know their name. Like if it happened to, by some miracle, be one of Michonne's daughters or something. Didn't Michonne say she had a daughter? If it happened to be something like that, then we don't know their name yet, because there are no Stephanies that we know so far. Back at Hilltop, Carl is working the forge for Earl Sutton, and of course he decides to stay at the Hilltop, and I think that's amazing, because I love getting to see a more mature Carl, how he's like, this is my home, I have a job here, me and Lydia are going to make our lives here. That is, even though I think at this point in the story Carl is still like pretty damn young, like early teens I think even, unless they skipped a lot more time than we know about. So it's nice to me to see a more mature Carl here. So Andrea makes it back to Alexandria, and she meets Siddiq and Annie at the gate. And one other thing that I absolutely freaking loved about this issue was that Andrea immediately saw the walls and knew. She just knew. She put it together. She was like, this is a terrible idea. Why are you using propaganda? And man, it was just so cool to me that she picked up on that right away. And also really cool, something that I think is going to mean more in the future, is Rick's "I became a better leader" speech. That, or just line, really. That was such a good line. That was really good. And I think it shows that by getting beat up and by showing mercy on Vincent and learning the error of his ways with listening to Negan and not ruling with fear but ruling with sort of understanding with everyone, that just, it shows that even this Rick, after the time skip, he still has growing that he can do, and really cool growing for the plot. So then we cut back to Aaron and Michonne. They talk about Jesus, and we find out that Aaron is still not over Eric after his death. And it was funny hearing him talk about Jesus leading Alex on and Alex being a booty call. That was just very funny. And, of course, Beta and his group of Whisperers corner Aaron and Michonne. And damn. So they corner them, and again, I just feel like Michonne and Aaron really underestimated what they were doing here. And Aaron gets stabbed around the side area with one of Beta's knives. I don't think this means he's dead. If anything, it could mean that they could get captured, or it could mean that they could be escaping, like, they say, okay, get out of here, and Michonne has to take him back to be healed. That seems a little bit too soft to be the Whisperer's style. So, they could get captured. They could very well get captured here. But I don't know. We'll have to see where it goes. It could go a lot of ways. And we end off with Negan entering the Whisperer's camp. He sees their, the tanning racks, the skinning racks, and he meets Alpha and says the "I think I'm in love" or "I'm in love" line, which was very funny and shed some light on the, I think it's the 156 cover. So that's very funny. And I think I made a video of the 156 cover where I think that Alpha's going to kill Negan. I still do think that that's a real possibility, because I think that if Alpha kills Negan, Negan is something they were all afraid of. They were all very, very afraid of. So much so that they were willing to enter Whisperer territory to try to lock him back up. So to have somebody kill him, that person that kill him being a bad guy, they are going to be an even scarier bad guy. And I think they could totally build Alpha up that way. But I also think that Negan could hang around the Whisperers for a while, maybe sort of like an advisor kind of role. And maybe he keeps making the sort of jokes about being in love with Alpha, and Alpha keeps shrugging it off. That'd be a kind of interesting dynamic. Also, I feel like Rick really needs to tell Dwight about Negan being escaped. I feel like he should have told Dwight very early on. Pretty sure he hasn't told him yet. Pretty 100% sure, or else I wouldn't have put it in my notes for the chapter. But I feel like Dwight needs to know, and I feel like he will tell Dwight next chapter, because we've seen, or next issue, because we've seen from the cover it is Dwight and his group out in the woods, and the title is Tip of the Spear, or Head of the Spear. And of course, a spearhead operation in military terms is where you send in your first wave of soldiers to attack. So I think that if we do find out that Negan is gone and is in Whisperer territory, Rick and knows that Negan could be spilling the beans that they plan to attack, that Rick needs to hurry up and expedite this attack. So he may go ahead and tell Dwight, do the attack now. We need to stop them before Negan lets them know that we're coming. So overall for the chapter, I've got to say this could go a lot of ways in the future, but this one was great. This is definitely the best I have covered on the channel, and one of the best I've read, honestly. This was really good. I don't want to underestimate this like they underestimated the Whisperers. This was really good. There was a lot of story here. And I love the way they're jumping around like they've been doing. The artwork, especially with Negan and the Whisperers, was great. I love seeing Negan in this sort of context, the way we're following him here. I loved the introduction of Beta. The dude is a beast. Just everything about this was great. It leaves us wondering what's going to happen to Aaron, because I, like I'm sure many of you, really do like Aaron. So, I think that there's a lot of great ways that this can go. I am enjoying this current storyline, and this issue made me hype. I was like, oh, when we get to season 11 or 12 of the show, I wonder how they're going to adapt this. And that was great to think about. Thinking about loving the comic, but thinking about what it means for the future and how the show can adapt it too. It was that good. I really liked this. But I'm not going to quite say it's perfect. Because, yeah, I'm not going to quite say it was perfect. It wasn't quite there. Because I know that the comic can do better than this. It has before, and it will again at some point. So I'm going to hold off on giving it a perfect score for now and give it 9.5 human flesh suits with a little extra room in the crotch region out of 10. 9.5 out of 10. Damn near perfect. The best I have reviewed from the comics, but not quite perfect. I'm going to reserve a perfect score for something that really, really blows me away. Even though you could see in my live reaction that this was great. So thank you all so much for watching. Like if you did like this. Check out my live reaction if you want to. I posted it 2 days ago, I believe, from when this is going to be going up. Just comment down there. Tell me what you thought of the issue and what you thought of my thoughts on the issue. Subscribe for more The Walking Dead, comics, TV show, and Fear, Tower of God, One Piece, and a bunch more. I do a bunch of other comics and things like that from around the world. So just check it out and subscribe if you want. And follow on Twitter for updates on when I post stuff or push stuff back. And I think that's it. Thank you so much for watching. I really do enjoy making the videos for you. So I will see you all next time.